Good evening, everyone. Once again, thank you very much joining me and everyone to our class, which is studying, reading, learning, contemplating, and meditating on the teachings of the Buddha based on Vishuddhimagga. So thank you very much. We will recite Refuge and Four Immeasurables and Heart Sutra mantra before we begin the teaching. Please position yourself physically, intentionally, and attentively, and a very noble purpose for what we are doing for the benefit of others. Hoyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Atere Yedhe Lademe Bhavache Adyendala Ashare Buddha Vajuvebe Enda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Atere Yedhe Lademe Bhavache Adyendala Ashare Buddha Vajuvebe Enda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Atere Yedhe Lademe Bhavache Adyendala Ashare Buddha Vajuvebe. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, and those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those never. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those never. God, intelligence, and predisposition of it. Vehade yajanda dharma agrelo hegam vegam dedangade gade barangade barazangade bodhizongade barangade barazangade Gade gade barangade barazangade bodhizongade gade barangade barazangade bodhizongade Gade gade barangade barazangade bodhizongade 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 Barangade barazangade bodhizongade gade 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 barazangade bodhizongade gade barangade barazangade bodhizongade gade barangade barazangade Gade barangade barazangade bodhizongade barangade barazangade bodhizongade Okay, we are going to continue the reading of Path of Purification, Vishuddhimagga, very amazing classical text by Buddhagosha of 5th century, whose writing is very much highly held in the Theravada Buddhist community, and anyone from other tradition, Mahayana or Vajrayana, if they learn to read it, you will see how much they will also cherish and value this as a very authentic textbook. And so that's why we are learning to read this thoroughly from the beginning till the end in these structured classes. So thank you very much for joining me. Some of you have been joining right from the very beginning. This is our second term, so today we are doing the sixth session. Each term we do 8 sessions. So we are currently doing the chapter 8, and chapter 8 has different subjects to meditation, and we finished previous session before last week on the subject of body, and then last session we started the subject of the doing the 16 aspects breathing, 16 aspects of mindfulness breathing practices, and so we are going to continue on that today. That is on the second tetrad. We covered the details on the first tetrad. Now the second tetrad, 226 is the paragraph number. Now, since there is no separate method for developing meditation subject in the case of other tetrads, their meaning therefore needs to be understood according to the word commentary. The fifth aspect of the mindfulness breathing, it says, he trains, thus I shall breathe in, shall breathe out, experiencing happiness or joy. That is making happiness known, making it plain. Here the happiness is experienced in 2 ways, with the object and with the non-confusion. With the non-confusion. How? How is the happiness experienced with the object? He attains the 2 jhanas in which happens is present. At the time when he has actually entered upon them, the happiness experienced with object owing to the obtaining of the jhana, because the experience of the object. B. How with the non-confusion? When, after entering upon and emerging from one of the 2 jhanas accomplished by happiness, he comprehends with insight that happiness associated with jhana is liable to distraction and to fall. Then, to the actual time of the insight, the happiness is experienced with non-confusion, owing to the penetration of its characteristic of impermanence and so on. 228. For this is the said in the Patisambhida. When he knows unification of mind and the non-distraction through long in-breath, mindfulness is established in them. By means of the mindfulness, that knowledge of happiness experience. When he knows unification of mind and non-distraction through long out-breath, through short in-breath, through short out-breath, through in-breath, out-breath, experiencing the whole body, through in-breath, out-breath, tranquilizing the bodily formations, and mindfulness is realized in him. By means of that mindfulness and the knowledge that happiness is experienced. It is experienced by him when he adverts, when he knows, sees, reviews, steadies his mind, and resolve with faith, exert energy, establish mindfulness, concentrate his mind, understand with understanding, directly knows what it is directly known, fully understand what is to be fully understood, abandon what is to be abandoned, develop what is to be developed, realizes what it is to be realized. It is in this way that this happiness is experienced. 6, 7, and 8, the Anapanasati. The remaining 3, the clauses should be understood in the same way as to meaning, but there is this difference here. Experiencing of bliss, must be understood to be through the 3 jhanas, and that of the mental formation through 4. The mental formation consists of 2 aggregates of feeling and perception, and in the case of the clause experiencing bliss, it is said in the Patisambhida, in order to show the plane of insight here, bliss there are of 2 kinds of bliss: physical bodily bliss and mental bliss. Tranquilizing of mental formation, tranquilizing the gross mental formation, stopping it, is the meaning, and this should be understood in detail in the same way as given under the bodily formations. 230. Here, moreover, in the happiness, the close feeling which is actually being contemplated in this tetrad is stated under the heading of the happiness, which is a formation, but in the bliss, because the close feeling is stated in its own form. In the 2 mental formation clause, the feeling is that necessarily associated with perception because of the words. Perception and feeling belong to the mind. These things being bound up with the mind are mental formations. So this tetrad should be understood to deal with a contemplation of a feeling. Word commentary continued, 3rd tetrad. 3rd tetrad is the 9th aspect of the mindfulness breathing. Start with the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. In the 3rd tetrad, experience the man of consciousness must be understood to be through 4 jhanas. 10th, gladdening the man of consciousness. He trains thus, making the mind glad, instilling gladness into it, cheering it, rejoicing it. I shall breathe in, I shall breathe out. Herein there is gladdening in 2 ways: through concentrating, through insight. How through concentration he attains the jhanas in which happiness is present. At the time when he has actually entered upon them, he inspires the mind with gladness, instills gladness into it by means of happiness associated with jhana. How? Through insight. After entering upon and emerging from the one of the 2 jhanas accompanied by happiness, he comprehends with insight that happiness associated with jhana is liable to distraction and to fall. Thus, at the actual time of insight, he inspires the mind that gladness instills gladness into it, and by making happiness associated with the jhana of the object, it is one progressing in this way that the words he trains that I shall breathe in, I shall breathe out, gladdening in the man of consciousness are said. 232, 11. Concentrating the manner of consciousness evenly, placing to the mind, even putting it on its object by means of the 1st jhana, and so on. Or alternatively, when having entered upon those jhanas and emerged from them, he comprehends with insight the consciousness associated with the jhana as liable to distraction and to fall, when then the actual time of insight, momentary unification of the mind, arise through the penetration of the characteristic of impermanent, and so on. Thus the words he trains thus, I shall breathe in, shall breathe out, concentrating the manner of consciousness, are said also of one who evenly places the mind, evenly puts it on its object by means of momentary unification of mind arisen thus. 233, 12. Liberating the man of consciousness. He both breathes in and breathes out, liberating and the mind from the hindrances by means of the 1st jhana, from applied and sustained thought by means of 2nd, from happiness by means of 3rd, from pleasure and pain by means of 4th. All alternatively, when having entered upon those jhanas, emerged from them, he comprehends with insight the consciousness associated with the jhana is liable to distraction and to fall. Then the actual time of insight he liberates the mind from the perception of permanence by means of the contemplation of impermanence, from the perception of pleasure by means of contemplation of pain, from the perception of self by means of the contemplation of not self, from delight by means of from delight by means of the contemplation of dispassion, from greed by means of contemplation of fading away, from arousing by means of contemplation of cessation, and from grasping by means of contemplation of relinquishment. Hence it is said, he trains thus, I shall breathe in, shall breathe out, liberating the man of consciousness. So this tetra should be understood dealing with contemplation of the mind. 234, 13. But in the fourth tetrad, and this is fourth tetrad, the fourth tetrad, as with the contemplating impermanence, here firstly the impermanence should be understood, and impermanence as the contemplation of impermanence, and one contemplating impermanence. Herein the five aggregate also are the impermanent. Why? Because their essence is rise and fall and change. Impermanence is the rise and fall of change in those same aggregates, or it is their non-existent after having been. The meaning is it is a backdrop of produced aggregate through the momentary dissolution, since they do not remain in the same mode. Contemplation of impermanence is contemplation of materiality, etc., as impermanent. In virtue of that impermanence, one contemplating impermanence possesses that contemplation. So it is when one such as this breathing in and breathing out that it can be understood of him. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, I shall breathe out, contemplating impermanence. 235, the 14, contemplating fading away. There are two kinds of fading away. That is fading away as distraction and absolute fading away. Herein, fading away as distraction is momentary dissolution of formations. Absolute fading away is nibbana. The contemplation of fading away is insight, and it is the path, which occurs as the seeing of these two. It is when he possesses this twofold contemplation that can be understood of him. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, shall breathe out, contemplating fading away. 14. The same method of explanation applies to the clause, contemplating cessation. 236. 16th. Contemplating relinquishment. Relinquishment is of two kinds too. That is to say, relinquish as giving up and relinquish as entering into. Relinquishment itself as a way of contemplation is contemplation of relinquishment. For insight is called both relinquishment as giving up and relinquishment as entering into. Since, firstly, through substitution of opposite qualities, it gives up defilements with the aggregate producing karma formation. Secondly, through seeing the wretchedness of what is formed, it also enters nibbana by inclining toward nibbana, which is the opposite of the formed. Also, the path is called both relinquishment as giving up and relinquishment as entering into, since it gives up defilements with their aggregates producing karma formation by cutting them off. It enters into nibbana by making it its object. Also, both insight and path are called contemplation, anapanasana, because of their reseeing successively, anupasana, each a preceding kind of knowledge. It is when he possesses this twofold contemplation, it can be understood of him. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, shall breathe out, contemplating relinquishment. 237. This tetra deals only with pure insight, while the previous three deal with serenity and insight. This is how the development of mindfulness of breathing with its 16 base in 4 tetras should be understood. Conclusion. This mindfulness breathing with the 16 base thus is of great fruit, of great benefit. 238. Its great beneficialness should be understood here as peacefulness, both because of the words. And bhikshus, this concentration through mindfulness of breathing, when developed and much practice, is both peaceful and sublime. etc. And because of its ability to cut off applied thought, for because it is a peaceful, sublime, and an unadulterated, blissful abiding, that it cuts off the mind's running hither and thither with applied thoughts obstructive to concentration, and keeps the mind only on the breath as object. Hence it is said mindfulness breathing should be developed in order to cut off applied thoughts. Also, its great beneficialness should be understood as a root condition for the perfecting of clear vision and deliverance, for this has been said by the Blessed One. Bhikshu, mindfulness breathing, when developed, and such practice, perfects the four foundation mindfulness. Four foundation mindfulness, when developed and much practice, perfect the seven enlightenment factors. The seven enlightenment factors, when developed and much practice, perfect clear vision and deliverance. 240. Again, its great beneficialness should be understood to reside in the fact that it causes the final in-breath and out-breath to be shown. For it is said by the Blessed One, Rahula, when mindfulness breathing is thus developed, thus practiced much, final in-breath, out-breath too are known as they are not known. 241. Herein there are three kinds of breath that are of final because of cessation. That is to say, breathing in, becoming, final in becoming, final in jhana, and final in death. For among the various kinds of becoming existence, in-breath and out-breath occur in the sensual sphere becoming, not in the fine material or immaterial kinds of becoming. That is why there are final ones in becoming in the jhanas that occur. In jhanas, they occur in the first three, but not the fourth. That is why there are final ones in jhana, those that arise along with the 16 consciousness preceding the death consciousness cease together with the death consciousness. They are called final in death. It is these last that are meant here by final. 242. When a bhikshu has devoted himself to this meditation subject, it seems, if he adverts, at the moment of arising of the 16th consciousness before the death consciousness to the arising, then the arising is evident to him. If he adverts to their presence, then their presence is evident to him. If he adverts to their dissolution, then their dissolution is evident to him, and it is so because he has thoroughly discerned in-breath and out-breath as object. When a bhikkhu 243. When a bhikkhu has attained arhatship by developing some other meditation subject than this one, he may be able to define his life term or not. But when he has reached arhatship by developing mindfulness breathing with its 16 bases, he can always define his life term. He knows my vital formation will continue now for so long and no more. Automatically he performs all the functions of attending to the body, dressing and rubbing, etc., after which he closes his eyes like the elder Tissa. He lived in the Kottapadata monastery, like the elder Mahatissa who lived in the Mahakaranjina monastery, like the elder Tissa, the armed food eater in the kingdom of Devabhuta, like the elder who were brothers and lived in the Chittalapabata monastery. 244. Here is one story as an illustration. After reciting Pratimoksha, it seems, on the Uposatha day of the full moon, one of the two elders who were brothers went to his own dwelling place surrounded by a community of bhikshus. As he stood on the walk looking at the moonlight, he calculated his own vital formation. He said to the community of bhikshus, "In what way have you seen bhikkhu attaining nibbana up to now?" Some answered, "Till now we have seen them attain nibbana sitting on their seats." Others said, "We have seen them sitting cross-legged in the air." The elder said, "I shall now show you one attaining while walking." He then drew a line on the walk, saying, "I shall go from this end of the walk to the other end and return. When I reach this line, I shall attain Nibbana." So saying, he stepped on to the walk and went to the far end. On his return, he attained nirvana in the same moment in which he stopped on the line. So let a man, if he is wise, untiringly devote his days to mindfulness of breathing, which rewards him away in these ways. This is the section dealing with mindfulness of breathing in the detailed explanation. Now comes the 10th and the last one of this chapter. 10th is recollection of peace. 245 paragraph. One who wants to develop the recollection of peace mentioned next to mindfulness breathing should go into solitary retreat and recollect the special qualities of Nibbana, in other words, by the stilling of all suffering as follows. Bhikshus, insofar as they are dharmas, whether formed or unformed, fading away is pronounced the best for them. That is, disillusionment of vanity, elimination of thirst, abolition of reliance, termination of the round, destruction of craving, fading away, cessation, nirvana. 246. Herein, as insofar as means as many as dhammas means individual essence, whether formed or unformed, whether made by conditions or condition going, together, coming together, and not so made, fading away is pronounced the best way of them. Of this formed, unformed dharma, fading away is pronounced best, called the foremost, the highest. 247. Here in fading away is not mere absence of greed, but rather it is that unformed Dhamma which, while given the name disillusion of vanity, etc., in the clause, that is to say, disillusionment of vanity, Nibbana is treated basically as fading away. It is called disillusionment of vanity because on coming to it, all kinds of vanity intoxication, such as the vanity of conceit, vanity of manhood, are disillusioned, undone, done away with. And it is called illumination thirst because on coming to it, all thirst of sense desires is eliminated and quenched. But it is called abolition of reliance because on coming to its reliance on the 5 cords of sense desires is abolished. It is called termination of the round because on coming to it, the round of 3 planes existence terminated. It is called destruction of craving because on coming to it, craving is entirely destroyed, fades away and ceases. It is called Nibbana, extinction, because it has gone away from Nikantha, it has escaped from Nishatha, is associated from craving, which is required in coming usage name fastening, because by ensuring successive becoming, craving serves as a joining together, binding together, lacing together, or 4 kinds of generation, 5 destinies, 7 stations of consciousness, and 9 abodes of beings. This is how peace, in other words, Nibbana, should be recollected according to its special qualities, beginning with the disillusionment of vanity. But it should also be recollected according to the either special quality peace stated by the Blessed One in the suttas, beginning with Bhikshus. I shall teach you the unformed, the truth, the other shore, hard to see, the undecaying, the lasting, undiversified, the deathless, the auspicious, safe, marvelous, the intact, unafflicted, the purity, the island, and the shelter. If, as he, 249, as he recollect peace in its special qualities, disillusionment of vanity, etc., in this way, then, on that occasion, his mind is not obsessed by greed or obsessed with hatred or obsessed with delusion. His mind has rectitude in that occasion, being inspired by peace. So when he has suppressed the hindrances in the way already described under the recollection of enlightened one, etc., the jhana factors arises in a single instant. By owing to the profundity of the special quality of peace, or owing to his being occupied in recollecting special qualities by various kinds, jhana's only access does not reach absorption. And that jhana itself is known as a recollection of peace. 2. Because it arises by means of the special qualities of peace. 250. And as in the case of sixth recollection, this also comes to success only in a noble disciple. Still, though this is so, it can nevertheless also be brought to mind by an ordinary person who values peace. Or for even by hearsay, the mind has confidence in peace. A bhikshu who is devoted to his recollection of peace sleeps in bliss and wakes in bliss. His faculties are peaceful, his mind is peaceful, he has conscience and shame, he is confident, he is resolved to attain superior state, he is respected and honored by his fellows in the life of purity. And even if he penetrates no higher, he is at least headed for a destiny, for a happy destiny. Happy destiny. So that is why a man of wit untiringly devotes his days to mind the noble peace which can reward him in so many ways. This is the section dealing with the recollection of peace in the detailed explanation. The 8th chapter called Description of Recollection and Meditation subject in the treatise of Development Concentration Path of Purification Vishuddhimagga composed for the purpose of gladdening good people. So that concludes the chapter 8. Chapter 8. I think we'll start on the chapter 9 a little bit, just a few more. Okay, chapter 9 starts. Chapter 9 is 4 abidings. 4 divine abiding, Brahmavira Nidesha. The first of these is loving kindness, paragraph number 1. The 4 divine abidings were mentioned next to the recollection as meditation subject. They are loving kindness, compassion, gladness, and equanimity. A meditator who wants to develop first loving kindness among these, if he is a beginner, should sever the impediments and learn the meditation subject. Then, when he has done the work connected with the meal and got rid of any dizziness due to it, he should sit himself comfortably on a well-prepared seat in a secluded place. To start with, he should review the danger in hate and advantage in patience. 2. Why? Because hate has to be abandoned and patience attained in the development of this meditation subject, he cannot abandon unseen dangers and attain unknown advantages. Now, the danger in hate should be seen in accordance with such suttas as this. Friends, when a man hates, is a prey to hate, and his mind is obsessed by hate, he kills living beings. And the advantage in patience should be understood according to such suttas as this. No higher rule, Buddha say, than patience, and no nibbana higher than forbearance. Patience is in force the strong array. 'Tis him I call a Brahmin. No greater thing exists than patience. 3. Thereupon he should embark upon the development of loving kindness for the purpose of secluding the mind free from hate, seen as a danger, introducing to patience known as an advantage. But when he begins, he must know that some persons are of wrong sort at the very beginning, and that loving kindness should be developed towards certain kinds of people, not towards certain other kinds at first. For loving kindness should not be developed at first towards following four kinds of person: an antipathetic person, a very dearly loved friend, a neutral person, and a hostile person. Also, it should not be developed specifically towards opposite sex or towards a dead person. Towards a dead person. 5. What is the reason why it should not be developed at first towards an antipathetic person and the others? To put an antipathetic person in a dear one's place is fatiguing. To put a very dearly loved friend in a neutral person's place is fatiguing. And if the slightest mischance befalls a friend, he feels like weeping. To put a neutral person in a respected one or a dear one's place is fatiguing. Anger springs up in him if he recollects a hostile person. That is why it should not be developed at first towards an antipathetic person and the rest. 6. Then if he develops it specifically towards opposite sex, lust inspired by that person springs up in him. And an elder supported by a family man was asked, it seems by a friend's son, Venerable Sir, towards whom should loving kindness be developed? The elder told him, towards a person one loves. He loves his own wife. Through developing loving kindness towards her, he was fighting against the wall all the night. That is why it should not be developed specifically towards the opposite sex. 7. But if he develops it towards a dead person, he reaches neither absorption nor excess. A young bhikshu, it seems, had started developing loving kindness inspired by his teacher. His loving kindness made no headway at all. He went to senior elder and told him, Venerable Sir, I am quite familiar with attaining jhana through loving kindness, and yet I cannot attain it. What is the matter? The elder said, Seek the sign, friend, the object of your meditation. He did so. Finding that his teacher has died, he proceeded with developing loving kindness inspired by another and attained absorption. That is why it should not be developed towards one who is dead. 8. First of all, it should be abandoned. It should be developed by only towards oneself, doing it repeatedly. Thus, may I be happy and free from suffering, or may I keep myself free from enmity, affliction, and anxiety, and live happily. 9. If that is so, does it not conflict with what is said in the text? For there is no mention of any development of it towards oneself in what is said in the Vivanga. And how does a bhikshu dwell pervading one direction with his heart filled with loving kindness, just as he would feel loving kindness on seeing dearly loved person, so he pervades all beings with loving kindness? And what is said in the Patisambhida, in what 5 ways is mind deliverance of loving kindness practiced with unspecified perversion? May all beings be free from enmity, affliction, anxiety, and live happily. May all breathing things, all who are born, all persons, all from whom our personality be free from enmity, affliction, anxiety, live happily. And in what is said in the Metta Sutra, in joy and safety, may all beings be joyful at heart. Does it not contradict with these texts? 10. It does not. Why not? Because it refers to absorption. But this final development towards oneself refers to making oneself as an example. For even if he developed loving kindness for 100 or 1,000 years in this way, I'm happy, and so on, absorption would never arise. But if he developed it in this way, I'm happy just because I want to be happy and dread pain, just as I want to live and not to die, so do other things too, making himself the example, and a desire for other things, welfare and happiness arise him, and his method is instigated by the Blessed One saying, I visited all quarters with my mind, nor found I any dearer than myself. Self is likewise to everyone, every other dear. Who loves himself will never harm another. 11. So, he should first, for example, pervade himself with loving kindness. Next, after that, in order to proceed easily, he can recollect such gifts, kind words, and inspire love and endearment, such virtue, learning, etc., as inspire respect and reverence, met with a teacher or his equivalent, or a preceptor or his equivalent, developing loving kindness towards him in the way beginning. May this good man be happy and free from suffering. With such a person, of course, he attains absorption. But if this bhikkhu does not rest content with just that much and wants to break down the barriers, he should next, after that, develop loving kindness towards very dearly loved one, and then towards neutral person at a very dearly loved friend, then towards a hostile person as a neutral. And which does while he does so, he should make his mind malleable and wieldy in each instance before passing on to the next. But if he has no enemy, or is he of type of a great man who does not perceive another, or as an enemy even when the other does him harm, he should not interest him as follows. Now that my consciousness of loving kindness has become wieldy towards neutral person, I shall apply it to a hostile one. Rather, it was about one who actually has an enemy that was said above, because he should develop loving kindness towards hostile person as a neutral person. Getting rid of resentment. 14. If resentment arises in him when he applies his mind in a hostile person because he remembers wrongs done by that person, he should get rid of the resentment by entering reportedly loving kindness, jhana, towards any of the first mentioned person, and then after he has emerged each time directing loving kindness towards the person. 15. But if he does not die out in spite of his effort, then let him reflect upon the soul with other figures of such kind. And strive repeatedly to leave resentment far behind. He should admonish himself in this way. Now, you who get angry, has not Blessed One said this? Bhikshus, even if bandits brutally sever limb from limb with a two-handled saw, he who entertained hate in his heart on that account would not be one who carried out my teaching. And this, to repay angry men in kind is worse than to be angry first. To repay not angry men in kind and win a battle is hard to win. The will of both he does promote his own and then others too. He who shall another's anger know and mindfully maintain his peace. And this bhikshu, there are 7 things gratifying and helpful to an enemy that happen to one who is angry, whether man or woman. What 7? Here, bhikshus. An enemy wishes thus for his enemy. Let him be ugly. Why is that? An enemy does not delight in an enemy's beauty. Now, this angry person is a prey to anger, ruled by anger, though well bathed, well anointed, with hair and beard trimmed and clothed in white, yet he is ugly being a prey to anger. This is first thing gratifying the helpful to an enemy that befalls one is angry, whether man or woman. Furthermore, an enemy wishes thus for his enemy. Let him die in pain. Let him have missed no fortune. Let him not be wealthy. Let him not be famous. Let him have no friends. Let him not, on the breakup of the body after death, reappear in the happy destiny and heavenly role. Why is that? An enemy does not delight in enemies enemy is going to a happy destiny. Now this angry person is prey to anger, ruled by anger. He misconduct himself in the body, speech, mind. Misconduct himself thus in body, speech, mind. On the breakup of the body after death, he reappears in a state of loss, in an unhappy destiny, in perdition, in hell, being prey to danger. And this as a log from a pyre burnt at both ends and fouled in the middle, serves neither for timber in the village nor a timber in the forest. So is such a person as this, I say. If you are angry now, you will be born, you will be one who does not carry out Blessed One's teaching. By repaying an angry man in kind, you will be worse than the angry man, not win the battle, hard to win. You will yourself do yourself the thing that help you enemy. You will be like a pyre log. If this resentment subsides when he strives and makes effort in this way, it is good. If not, then he should remove irritation by remembering some uncontrolled and purified state in that person, which inspire confidence when remembered. 17. For one person who may be controlled in such bodily behavior with the control in doing an extensive course of duty known to all, through his verbal and mental behavior are not controlled, then the latter should not be ignored and control in his bodily behavior remembered. 18. Another may be controlled in his verbal behavior, and his control known to all. He may naturally be clever at welcoming, kindly, easy to talk with, congenial, open countenance, differential in speech, and he may expound the Dhamma with a sweet voice and give explanation of Dhamma with well-rounded phrase and details. Though his bodily and mental behavior are not controlled, then the latter should be ignored and the control in his verbal behavior remembered. 19. Another may be controlled in his mental behavior, and his control in worshipping at shrines, etc., evident to all. For when one is uncontrolled in mind, pays homage to a shrine for an enlightened tree or elders, he does not do it carefully, and he sits in the Dharma preaching pavilion with the mind astray or nodding, while one whose mind is controlled pays homage carefully and deliberately listen to the Dharma attentively, remembering it and evincing the confidence in his mind through his body and his speech. So another may not be controlled in his mental behavior, though his body and verbal behavior are not controlled. Then the latter should be ignored and the control in his mental behavior remembered. But there may be another in whom not even one of these three things is controlled. Then compassion for that person should be aroused thus. Though he is going about in the human world now, nevertheless, after a certain number of days, he will find himself in one of the 8 great hells or the 16 prominent hells. For irritation subsides 2 through compassion, yet another, all 3 may be controlled. Then he may remember any of the 3 in that person, whichever he likes, for the development of loving kindness towards in such a person is easy. 21. In order to make meaning of this clear and from sutta among the book of 5 should be recited in full. Bhikshu, there are 5 ways of dispelling annoyance, whereby annoyance arise in a bhikshu can be entirely dispelled. 22. But if irritation still arises in him, in spite of his effort, he should admonish himself thus. Suppose an enemy has hurt you now in what is his domain. Why try yourself as well to hurt your mind that is not his domain? In tears you left your family. They had been kind and helpful too. So, why not leave your enemy, the anger that brings harm to you? This anger that you entertain is knowing at very roots. Of all the virtues that you guard, Who is there such a fool as you? Another does ignoble deeds, so you are angry. How is this? Do you then want to copy too the sort of acts that he commits? Suppose another to annoy provokes you with some odious act. Why suffer anger to spring up, and so as he would have you do? If you get angry, then maybe you make him suffer, maybe not. Though with the hurt that anger brings, you certainly are punished now. If anger-blinded enemies set out to tread the path of woe, do you by getting angry too intend to follow heel or fail to toe? If hurt is done you by a foe because of anger on your part, then put your anger down, for why should you be harassed groundlessly? Since states last but a moment's time, those aggregate by which was done, the odious act have ceased. So now, what is you are angry with? Whom shall he be hurt? He seeks to hurt another in the other's absence. Your presence is the cause of hurt. Why are you angry then? With whom? 23. But if resentment does not subside when the admonishes himself, then he should review the fact that he himself and others are owner of their deeds. Herein he should first review this in himself thus. Now what is the point of you getting angry with him? Will not this karma of yours that has anger as its source lead you to your own harm? For you are the owner of your deeds, heir of your deeds, having be deeds you as your parent, deeds as your kin, deeds as your refuge, deeds, and you will become the heir of whatever deeds you do. And this is not the king of deed, to bring you to full enlightenment, to undeclared enlightenment. Sorry. Undeclared enlightenment to the disciples great, or to any such position, to the status of Brahma, Chakra, or the throne of wheel-turning monarch, or as a regional king, etc. Rather this is the kind of deed to lead you fall into from the dispensation, even the status of the eaters of scraps, etc., and to the manifold suffering and the hells and so on. By doing this, you are like a man who wants to hit another and picks up a burning ember and excrement in his hand, so first burns himself, make himself stink. 24. Having reviewed ownership of deeds in himself in this way, he should review it in the other two. And what is the point of his getting angry with you? Will it not lead to his own harm? For that venerable one is owner of his deeds, heir of his deeds. He will become the heir of whatever deeds he does, and this is not the kind of deed to bring him full enlightenment, to undeclared enlightenment, or to the disciples' grade, or to any such position, or the status of Brahman Chakra, or to the throne of wheel-turning monarch, or a regional king, etc. But rather this is kind of deed to lead to his fall from the dispensation, even to the status of eaters of scraps, etc., and be manifold suffering in the hells and so on. By doing this, he is like a man who once throw dust at another against the wind and only covers himself with it. For this is said by the Blessed One. When a fool hates a man, that he has no hate, is purified and free from every blemish. Such evil he will find comes back on him, as does fine dust thrown up against the wind. 25. But if it still does not subside in him when he reviews ownership of deeds in this way, then he should view the special quality of master form of conduct. Here is the way of reviewing it. Now you have gone forth. Is it not a fact that when your master was a bodhisattva before discovering full enlightenment, while he was still engaged in fulfilling perfections during the 4 incalculable ages and 100,000 eons, he did not allow hate to corrupt his mind, even when his enemies tried to murder him on various occasions. 27. For example, in the Silavan birth story, this is now Jatakamala, when his friend rose to prevent his kingdom of 300 leagues being seized by an enemy king who had been incited by the wicked minister, in whose mind his own queen had sown hate for him, he did not allow them to lift a weapon. Again, he was buried along with 1,000 companions up to the neck in a hole dug in the earth in a chana ground. He had no thought of hate. And when, after saving his life by heroic effort helped by jackals scraping away soil when they had come to devour the corpses, he went with the aid of spirit to his own bedroom and saw his enemy lying on his bed, he was not angry but treated him as a friend, undertaking a mutual bridge and then mutual pledge. He then exclaimed, "The brave aspire, the wise will not lose heart. I see myself as I had wished to be." 28. And the Kantivadin birth story, another Jatakamal, he was asked by the stupid king of Benares, "Why do you preach, monk?" And he replied, "I'm a preacher of patience." When the king had, then the king had him flogged with scourges of thorns and had his hand and feet cut off. He felt not the slightest anger. 29. It is perhaps not so wonderful that an adult who had actually gone forth into homelessness should have acted in that way, but also as an infant he did so. For the Chula Dhammapala birth story, his hands and feet were ordered to be lopped off like 4 bamboo shoots by his father, King Mahapadapa, and his mother lamented over him thus. O Dhammapala's arms are severed, that had been bathed in sandalwood. He has the heir to all the earth. O king, my breath is choking me. Then his father, still not satisfied, commanded that his head be cut off. Well, but even then he had not least a trace of hate, since he had firmly resolved thus, "Now is the time to restrain your mind. Now, good Dhammapala, be impartial towards these 4 peoples. That is to say, towards your father who is having your head cut off, the man who is beheading you, your lamenting mother, and yourself." 30. And it is perhaps not so wonderful that one who had been a human being should have acted in that way, but also as an animal he did so. For a while a bodhisattva was an elephant called Chadanta. He was pierced with the navel by a poison shaft. But even when he allowed no hate towards the hunter who had wounded him to corrupt his mind, according as it is said, the elephant, when struck by the stout shaft, addressed the hunter with no hate in mind. "What is your aim? What is the reason why you kill me this? What can your purpose be?" And when the elephant has spoken thus and told, "Sir, I have been sent by the king's Kasi's queen to get your task in order to fulfill her wish," he cut he cut off his own tusk, whose gorgeous radiance glittered with the flashes of the 6-colored rays, gave them to him. 31. And when he was the great monkey, the man whom he had pulled out of rocky chasm thought, now this is the food for humankind, like other forest animal. So why then should an angry man not kill an ape to eat? I will travel independently, taking his meat as a provision. Thus I shall cross the waste and will furnish my viaticum. Then he took up a stone and dashed it on his head. But the monkey looked at him with eyes full of tears and said, "Oh, act not so, good sir, or else the fate you reap will long deter all others from such deeds as this that you would do to me today." And with no hate in his mind, regardless of his own pain, he saw it that the man reached his journey's end in safety. 32. And while he was the royal Naga serpent Buddhadatta, when he had undertaken the Uposatha precepts and was lying on the top of the termite mound, though he was caught and sprinkled in medicinal charms resembling the fire and ashes in the end of the eon, it was put into a box and treated as a plaything throughout the whole of Jambudvipa, yet he had no trace of hate for the Brahmin, according as it was said. While being put into a coffer and being crushed down with his hand, I had no hate for Alambana, lest I should break my precept now. 33. And when he was the royal Naga Kampeya, he let no hate spring up in his mind while he was being cruelly treated by a snake charmer, according as it was said. While I was living in the law, observing the Uposatha, snake charmer took me away to play with that royal gate. Whatever hue he might conceive, blue and yellow and red and well, so in accordance with his thought, I would become what he had wished. He would turn dry land into water, water into land likewise. Now had I given way to wrath, I should have seared him into ash. Had I relaxed mind mastery, I should have let him virtue lapse, and one who lets his virtue lapse cannot attain the highest goal. 34. And when he was a royal Naga Sankapala, while he was being carried out on a carrying pole, 16 village boys, after they had wounded him in 8 places with sharp spears and inserted thorn creepers onto the wound's orifices, and while after threading a strong rope through his nose, they were causing him great agony by dragging him along, bumping his body on the surface of the ground, though he was capable of turning those village boys to cinders with a mere glance, yet he did not even show the least trace of hate on opening eyes accordingly. Opening his eyes according as it was said, on the 14th and 15th to Alara, I regularly kept on the holy day, until there came those 16 village boys, bearing a rope and a stout spear as well. The hunters cleft my nose, and through the slit they passed a rope, dragged me off like that. But though I felt such poignant agony, I let no hate disturb my holy day. 35. And he performed not only these wonders, but he also many others too, such as those told in the Matushopaka birth story. Now it is in the highest degree improper and unbecoming to you to arouse thoughts of resentment, since you are emulating as your master, the Blessed One, who reach omniscience and who has the special quality of patience, no equal in the world of the deities. But if he reviews the special qualities of master's form of conduct, resentment still does not subside in him, since he has long been used to it, slavery of these defilements. Then he should review the suttas that deal with the beginningless of the round birth. Here is what is said: Bhikshu, it is not easy to find being who has not formerly been your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter. Consequently, he should think about the person this person, it seems, as my mother in the past carried me in her womb for 10 months and removed from me without disgust, as if it were yellow sandalwood, my urine, excrement, spittle, snot, etc., and played with me in her lap, nourished me, carrying me about on her lap. And this person, my father, went by goat paths and paths set on piles, etc., to pursue a trade of merchant and risk his life for me by going into battle in double array, by sailing on the great ocean in ships, by doing other difficult things, and he nourished me by bringing back wealth by one means or another, thinking to feed his children. And as my brother, sister, son, daughter, this person gave me such and such help. So it is unbecoming for me to harbor hate for him in any kind. 37. But if he is still unable to quench the thought in this way, then he should review the advantage of loving kindness. Thus, now you who have gone forth into homelessness, has it not been said by the Blessed One as follows: Bhikshus, when the mind deliverance of loving kindness is cultivated, developed such practice, made the vehicle, made foundation, established, consolidated, and properly undertaken, 11 blessings can be expected. What are the 11? A man sleeps in comfort, wakes in comfort, dreams no evil dreams. He is dear to human beings. He is dear to non-human beings. Deities guard him. Fires and poison weapons do not affect him. His mind is easily concentrated. The expression of his face is serene. He dies unconfused. If he penetrates no higher, he will be reborn in the Brahma world. If you do not stop this thought, you will be denied these advantages. 38. But if he is still unable to stop in this way, he should try resolution into elements. How? Now you have gone forth into homelessness. When you are angry with him, what is it you are angry with? Is it head hairs you are angry with, body hairs, or nails? Or is it urine you are angry with? Or alternatively, it is the earth element in the head hairs or you are angry with, or water element, or the fire element, or is it the air element you are angry with? Or among the 5 aggregates of the 12 bases and 18 elements, with respect to which this rare venerable one is called by such and such name, which then is the material aggregate you are angry with, or the feeling aggregate, perception aggregate, formation aggregate, and consciousness aggregate you are angry with? Or is it the eye base you are angry with, or the visible object base you are angry with, or the mind base you're angry with, or the mental object base you're angry with, or is it eye element you're angry with, or the visible object you're angry with, or the eye consciousness element, or the mind element, or the mental object element, or the mind consciousness element you're angry with? For when he tries the resolution into elements, his anger finds no foothold, like a mustard seed on the point of an owl or a painting on the air. 39. But if he cannot affect the resolution into elements, he should try the giving of a gift. If he can either be given a gift himself to the other or accepted by himself from the other, but what if the other's livelihood is not purified by his requisites, are not proper to be used? It should be given by oneself. And in one who does this with the annoyance with a person entirely subsides, and in the other even anger that has been dogging him for a past birth subsides at the moment, as happened to a senior elder who received a bowl given to him at the Chittapalabhatta monastery by an alms-food eater elder who had been 3 times made to move from his lodging by him, and who presented with him the words, "Venerable Sir, this bowl worth 8 ducats was given me by my mother, who is lay devotee, and is rightly obtained. Let the good lay devotee acquire merit." So efficacious is this act of giving. This was said, a gift for taming the untamed, a gift for every good of good, every kind of good. Through giving gifts, they are unbent and condescend their kindly speech. Okay, so we'll stop there. Thank you very much, everyone, to the dedication merits. Ashana Padare Senade Ereda Mahayana Dije Vadeva Merera Hag Meo Bebe Gazelevaz Choedak Mahayana Dije Courage Manju Shenewade Azama Abada de Lava following Awade Zamba Aisha de Ode Mere Mede Hexalem Bodi Jida Teba Where Noyadaza where has been bometing freely without generation. Thank you, everyone.